for our research or for writing research articles or for, writing the thesis. But imagine imagine a researcher, a young researcher who blindly uses AI, right? Who has no AI knowledge of giving the prompt properly or what data to filter, right? So it becomes challenging for those kind of researchers. Also, if you see, there is a very typical pattern of the sentences those are given by GPT. If you see, they give three terminologies at the same time. It's not one, two. That is how you can make the difference, that yes, this particular write-up is copied from AI, or the student or the researcher or the scholar has written of his own. So every sentence, if it wants to convey some message, it has three terminologies: comma, comma, and. So that pattern has to be, demystified. That pattern has to be broken. If you are taking some material from GPT and then you are trying to incorporate in your research articles, then you have to humanize it in that way, so that, the reviewers, they do not understand that yes, this has been copied, because there are enough possibilities where you can hide the AI content even in Turnitin also. These possibilities are also there, but still the reviewers are smart enough that they are able to understand that which one is copied from AI and which one is not. This is, I'm talking about GPT. Now coming to Claude. Now, what problem we face when we are trying to work on any indigenous communities of India? Suppose I am working on some indigenous communities of India. Suppose take Gond or Bhil or Santhal, or probably some northeastern indigenous communities like Apatanis, right? Or Bodo community, if I'm trying to take. Now, what happens if I feel no, GPT is not enough? It does not give us proper information. So let's move to Claude. Now, Claude, that's also, we know that it's an American model based on the data that is available in their system. We cannot expect that they will give us the information of our Indian scenario, especially of these indigenous communities who are minority in existence, right? So you can search in Claude and you can see the data that they give is exclusively Native American indigenous communities data, which is nowhere related to our indigenous communities. Then what to do? What to take? If GPT doesn't work, if Claude doesn't, Perplexity, you forget, because that's again a Chinese model, and we cannot expect that again all the informations will be there of the indigenous communities. Yes, it's a challenge for the, the researchers, the writers, or the faculty members who are teaching, and information which is, and don't trust, because most of the time in Claude, I have myself seen that they give the information which is exclusively wrong for our Indian indigenous communities. So it is challenging. We need to still go back to the old model if we are working on these indigenous communities and all, especially on the food. If I don't know if anybody is aware of food studies, the cultural studies, under which food studies is also one of the area of research. Food studies, indigenous studies, these all are very, very challenging when it comes to the usage of AI. We do not get the exact data. So what happens? We need to go through that primitive method of searching through, the research articles and all. And also, if you are not having access to all the platforms, then that becomes difficult to find the correct and appropriate material that would support your research. Because AI, if you give a topic and ask AI to write a full-length paper, AI will write a full-length paper also, and it will give you the literature review, which does not exist. It will give you the references and works cited, which do not exist. But it gives in such a systematic manner, you ought to get misled completely, right? So these are the two challenges that I would like. Yes, we can go on discussing on this further, but recently I completed one FDP where I was giving this, a series of lectures on indigenous studies in children's literature. Now, when I was covering Australian Aborigines, the Native Americans, the African tribal communities, Indian children's literature, I felt that data is least available of Indian indigenous communities children's literature. Since I have been working on this, so I know, if you take example, when I'm talking about indigenous studies of children and children's literature clubbing together in Indian scenario, then the first book that comes to our mind is definitely this Jwala Kumar and the Adventure of Champak Bug. It's again a story which is written by Dr. Shaurendra Shekhar Hansda, who hails from Jharkhand. I think many of you will be knowing him. But when I searched in AI, when I searched in GPT, the book didn't even come. Rather, the books that came up for the suggestion were the ones which were adult fictions, like Nanjali's story, I think, from Kerala. That's again a very revolutionary incident that had happened. That book, that can Nanjali's incident, who had, cut her body parts just as a mark of revolt against the caste discrimination. So do you think that that can be counted under children's literature? So this kind of challenges we are facing when we are working on indigenous studies. And yes, for other indigenous sectors like Native Americans of North America, or African tribal communities, and even Australian Aborigine, things are very data is more available. Not exactly of all the tribal communities of Africa. Even African also, you have to be very careful, right? Because when we take African indigenous communities, we know that it is divided under 4 heads. But when you search it in AI, they will never give you. They will never give you this, there's Bantu tribes and the Semitic tribes, the Semitic tribes, all this, they never give you. So how to proceed? It's again, we are yet to get a distinct, a very defined and upgraded version of AI that will, support the indigenous studies model. So, yeah. Yes, sir, I have finished it within half an hour, as you have said.
Thank you, ma'am, for your present speech on this topic. And India is the rich culture heritages. At the same time, so many indigenous things are with us, and for that, how it is related to AI, you have explained very nicely. Now I request participants, they can unmute and discuss with our speaker. The feedback link is available in the chat box. Participants are requested to fill the feedback link so that they can issue their certificates. If anyone wants to discuss with our speaker, they can. Today's topic was explained by our today's speaker, AI in research, its uses and limitations. But that was not the subject, because it was the old slide. So indigenous, yes, sir, Sanand Shukla, sir, please.
Good evening, Dr. BETKAR, sir. Good evening, Guruji, and good evening, ma'am. So wonderful presentation you have made, and really a great point you have raised. India, when we are talking about Indian context, you'll find there are so many communities and so many indigenous groups and so many, I think for some people we have not reached also.
Yes, sir.
So that is also there. So 2 aspects are there. AI, we are talking on one side, and other side we are talking about, the people who are indigenous, Indian people are there, and their culture is there. So how many times, we people try to place the things in a chat GPT and Google, our informations, if suppose some positive points are there, if suppose a literature is available, why we are not putting it, because otherwise if we are not going to place, how it will come, because all these are the mechanical aids. Unless and until if there is no input, there will be no output. So there should be some media, there should be some catalyst in between to promote this. Then only this mechanical aids will work. Otherwise, how these aids will work? They will show only the their context and their terminologies and their words. So that is my question. So what we are doing, to place our aspects, our reflections in such a, because nowadays globalization is taking place, and everybody should know what is happening, especially in regard with the health and other aspects. There is a kind of a coordination up to from the tribal to rural, rural to district, district to national, national to global level, WHO like and UNICEF like people are playing a role. So no doubt, there are some people you'll find they try to show their influences of their languages, of their cultures, and and everybody would like to do that, because I remember some students are learning Korean and they're watching Korean serial. What happened about our local language serials, and why we are not promoting it then? So why it is fascinating them? In a research also you said that the chat GPT and other things gives a whole length research also, but definitely you'll find that essence will not be there. If suppose I'm doing my own research, indigenous, my own words, my simple words, right? Some fascinating word, research never accept fascinating words. Research accept only simple and straight words and absolute words. There should be no gaps in between. So research accept always this only. So whatever the research is done without AI, it has a more sense than the other what we are using, aids and other things. So definitely, people likes to use because they improve your English language or literature language or scientific language, research language, and that is why they are using it. But what I feel, that the amalgamation of both the things is very necessary. If we will, I will feel that I will just go with my own thing and I will not take a help of technical aspect, but we have to take technical aspect to that extent, where we will not lose our essence. So what do you think about this, ma'am? Please comment. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for describing it elaborately. And the answer is very well hidden in the question, because you have discussed everything that the amalgamation that is required right now. We cannot say that, yes, we need to depend completely on rummaging through, all the data that is available in various repositories without taking aid of AI. In AI, this is the age of AI, and we need to upgrade ourselves. But the point that I wanted to highlight is specifically in our research area of indigenous studies, how the problem we are facing, because it's very much local. It's not that we are borrowing some research ideas or topics which is global. The local ideas which are not yet fed, and we need to take the initiative to feed the data in such a way that when the upcoming researchers they work on such topics, then definitely they get the correct and appropriate result, instead of the problem what we are facing right now.
Yes, definitely, ma'am. And I think you're talking about tribal areas,
Yes.
unless and until you're becoming a part of them, you're not staying with them. If you're not knowing their traditions and customs and, beliefs, right? Sitting at
Being
us,
an
my
outsider, it doesn't matter
sitting
actually.
at
No matter how much we speak,
yeah.
about all this in online platforms, sitting in AC room and speaking about them, unless and until we go into the field, stay with them, understand their problem, it doesn't make sense. That's true.
We were discussing about food also. So such a great, they are having so many
Topic from speaker.
Sorry.
so many recipes are there.
Yes.
So
The
many
local
things are there.
cuisines which are getting lost.
and we are not exploring that. And after exploration and after the finding out the truth, whether it is really there or no, sometimes we are having assumptions and prejudices about the tribal population. So we should have this, we should become a part of them and then learn. And then if you're projecting in an AI, I think we will create a right image, because AI, if I'm putting information from some very tribal area, and if it is not true, it is going to Los Angeles also. So, very
Correct.
important now. We have to be very careful about what kind of information we are putting it in a chat GPT. So please see to that, the researchers especially, whenever we are
Exactly, sir. There
even
is difference between the research that is coming out of identity and out of interest. When it is coming out of identity, that has its own weightage rather than coming it out of interest.
Yes. So this is very, very essential what you have said today. And one has to, the prompt, what we are giving, it is also recognized by AI. So those prompts should be, with the reality. It should not be, some assumptions or hypothetical things you are placing. So this is a very important aspect you have discussed about. And the tribal areas, some people are still untouched. We have not reached to them. I think, they are enjoying their life. We should not disturb them also.
Correct.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, sir. I agree with
Thank
you.
you, Doctor Sir. You are also working for the tribals, so you are knowing more than other researchers, those who are present here. I think ma'am's this explanation is very supportive to do the study on AI and the tribals. And it's real that we don't know the details about it. If the knowledge is not on the online or anywhere, then how we can find their details about it or problems or their culture? Because I have also worked in the tribal area for 24 years. So the language of them, the rituals, all these things are very different. And
they
others,
don't open up, sir. The main
yeah,
problem is they don't open up. When you visit the areas and try to get information, they do not open up so easily.
they are also having the medicinal knowledge of jungle area, knowing all things. So,
Traditional medicine, what we call, sir.
yes, sir. My friend
Traditional
have
medicine.
traditional medicine. My Dr. Shinde sir have did the research on that, and major of the old person, they have lost the knowledge and they are not giving the knowledge to the next generation. So the medicinal knowledge and other knowledge is also lost with the tribals because of language, because of communication, because we can't understand them. So we have collected their songs on various festivals and published the books. So, and one friend, Dr. Sanjay Salukya sir in the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Sambhajinagar, he's working on the tribal as a, he was working with me in the tribal area. After that, he joined the Sambhajinagar University. And then he got the students from outside India, those who are interested to do the research on the tribals from the Indians. So, thank you for contributing on this topic by you and Dr. Sir also. I'm thankful to all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Participants are requested to fill the feedback link